And let me just double check one thing. Okay, so I've got 10 of them right here, and that means that when we test things out, we'll set it up so that it iterates through 10 times, and that's something that we could probably do almost right away here. We're going to create another I keep wanting to say variable, I guess constant, by writing let multiples equal, and now we're just going to actually take this value right here. All right, so it's going to equal the value of this, place multiples on x. And one thing I did have trouble with is I needed to, at least I thought I needed to convert that to an integer the way I'm doing it right now. Oh, that's not what it told me it wanted to do before. Here it is. I have to put the exclamation mark after both of these, and then I get no complaints. And whoever's listening out there that knows a better way of doing this, I know there is one, but this was the solution I came up with. So anyway, it's and I mean, even looking at this, I know I can combine this into one line, I think. But even that looks kind of ugly to me. So it's not that bad, but see if this makes sense to you. So I guess this is inferring that it's going to be a string type right here. We're getting the forced unwrapping of this value, all right, which is okay in this case because we know we are testing up here that it is not nil, so it's safe to assume that this does have a value. And then what we're doing is coming over here and saying, okay, well, I want this to be an integer, right? Okay, so I'm going to create a new constant that's going to be an int type, and we're just saying multiples to int, and again, this is forcing a value out of here, all right? So let's assume that it's not optional, all right? And there you go. So now amount is going to be the number of multiples that we're going to put on here. And maybe it would have been better to flip-flop those two variable names, but it doesn't really matter too much. We're just going to really quickly use it in a for loop. And if you've never seen one of these guys before, well, golly, you're in for a treat. As I type it out, actually, let me get it all out here, then we'll try to explain it. Okay. What we're doing is we're creating a variable here, all right? I is going to change over time, so this does need to be a variable. It can't be one of our let guys. And this is going to equal 0 to start with. And this is our condition here. So while I is less than amount, we're going to do whatever is inside of here, okay? And this little incrementer right here is just going to increment I every time we iterate through here, okay? So, you know, as the code's like compiling through here, running through here, it goes down to here, then it goes, oh, wait a minute, I got to do a bunch of things for a while, all right? And just got to loops around, iterates through 10 times if amount equals 10, and then done, all right? So as soon as this condition is no longer true, which eventually will happen, the code gets to move on to do something else. All right, so now what we should do, I was about to type nslog, now we get to do is just test this. And what better way than to just find out the amount of I, so the amount of, or the, let's see, how about the var is now, and with that little, is it forward slash or backslash? I believe that's a forward slash. We can put in here I, and then in parentheses, opening and closing, what we want to send to the output window. And for some reason I feel like I haven't taught that yet in this series, so hopefully that's the case and you get to learn something. Okay, now what happened here? Oh, well, we have not actually added our object to the game scene, so I'm not even sure what's spitting out 0 at that point. Okay, well let's go ahead and we could probably do that right now. So let's write and we'll call this platform equal. This is going to be our object, and then it's going to tell us right here it wants a dictionary. Great. Well, we've got one called ground data. Remember, that's this guy, and we'll pass that in. So that's our parameter. And then we don't have to worry about setting the position of our platform, because remember, we're doing that inside of the class itself with our location. So really all we have to do now is just write in here add child and then platform, and there we go. Apparently we didn't have to do any sort of exclamation mark after that. So now, even though there's not a lot really happening with the class, at least visually, we are seeing that that iteration go through there. Now keep in mind, it's not going to get to 10. Okay, it's going to start at 0, so it did iterate through 10 times. It's just that the last iteration, I equaled 9, and then this was no longer true. Now you could put it in here a less than or equal to, and then it would go through that. Would actually be the 11th time, but it would print out 10 inside of there. Okay, but printing is not the goal here. What we want to do is add in our objects, or an object sprite to actually show you the platform. And you know what, since we've done a lot of this before, at least my little daily series here, let's go ahead and paste some of that in. So I'm just going to create an object sprite here. I'm calling it object sprite. It's SKSpriteNode. This is going to equal SKSpriteNode, and similar to the same code that we had in our bro class, we've got image named and then the forced unwrapping of this image. So it's just basically assuring that it has a value. And we did set that up here, right up here. All right, so we've been holding on to that for a little bit, the image name, and then we're writing self.addChild object sprite, so that's getting added inside of our SKNode, and then object sprite.position. Here's where we get to have a little bit of fun. We're setting this to a CG point value, or an X and Y location, I should say, and the X is going to be equal to object sprite.size.width times, and then it's going to be multiplied by I. So it's convenient that we have all these numbers down here, because, well, the first time, if I equals 0, then what's going to happen? This just ends up being 0. Next time this runs through, that's going to equal 1. So we're placing this at essentially just the width, all right, because we're multiplying that times 1. All right, so whatever the width is, I'm not even sure what that platform width was. Maybe 200. Let's say 200 points. Okay, just assume that. Now the next time this runs through, all right, so the next iteration of this, I now equals 2, and you guessed it, that's going to equate to being 400. All right, if previously that was 200, and so on like that. So each one of those platforms ends up getting spaced out by exactly its width, and I put this in here because when I was testing this, I wasn't even exactly sure that I'd gotten my math correct, and I thought, oh well, here, I'll just show you. Well, let me cut that out, and I'll put this at 0. See what I mean? Because I wasn't, I thought maybe some of these were overlapping on each other. So I thought, well, you know what? Then what we'll do is we'll just add a little bit to the y-axis every time. So really, it's just bumping itself up by 4 pixels here, 8 pixels here, 12 pixels, and so on like that. And that ends up actually being kind of a nice little stairway effect. And it does happen to work with our little guy who's got a circular body. He can navigate his way up there. Now, our dude is falling down. Okay, he does have some physics on him, and let's prevent that by putting some physics down here. And we'll do this after, no, I'm sorry, we will do this within our for statement. And we're going to write if the dictionary body type equals square. And the nice thing here is we didn't actually have to do any sort of conversion of that. We're just testing one string value to another one, okay? And something that you could consider doing at this point is, or just kind of for really more for hypothetical reasons, is putting a variable up here that has something like this, has some physics. Make that a bool value equals false. Oops. So initially this class has a property now that just says, no, I could have physics, but I don't right now. That's false. And then if you know that you've brought something in that has a body type, right, at all, or any body type, if we've defined anyone, square, circle, whatever it is, then we could put has physics equals true here. So then that gives you the option of coming back over here and maybe excluding this property, right? Just like we would, eventually we'll have the opportunity to exclude that one as well. So that gives you some flexibility in setting things up. And now we should actually put some physics in here. Let's see, we'll just paste in here object_sprite.physicsBody. Again, I said this in the very first video, I think. I love how easy it is to include physics for any of your nodes. And we're just going to put in here object_sprite. Oops, I can just paste that in, right? Dot size. Okay, and that returns the size property. And the body is going to be a rectangle, okay? Other options include circles, all sorts of other shapes. But we're going to go for the old steadfast rectangle, and then object_sprite.physicsBody. For some reason, it wants that to be optional. Don't know why exactly. Dynamic equals false, and that means that the physics body is going to get excluded from the physics simulation. All right, so that means that gravitational forces are not going to get applied to this, and if some object collided into it, it's not going to move this body around. All right, but it does have a body. It's just kind of stuck there, right? Which for a platform in a game is just fine with us. And now I think we can go and give this a shot. I will actually really fast to show you that I had these properties set up for our bro class. So that's circle of radius, and what I did in here is to get the radius of something, you take the width of it, of an image, I guess. Take the width of it and you can divide it by 2. But there's a little extra spacing around the source images for those the guys, the artwork, and this 2.6 worked a little bit better. Kind of made the circle appear right at their feet. And then dynamic equals true, so that means that where this guy gets placed, gravity is going to affect him. Other objects pushing him into him would affect him. And then I put in here allows rotation equals false, which is a useful property, okay? Because not all the time do you want your objects to be able to just get rotated. And all right, let's see what happens now. Doink. All right, cool. And you can see that when I press down, now we're essentially back to the point where I was at the beginning of the video before I start wiping out code. Kind of has to climb up a little bit, doesn't he, when it comes to those steps. And then let's go about making sure that that if place multiples is nil, we still actually do something. And fortunately for us, that's just a cut and paste job. What you could do is come down here and just take all this stuff right here, paste it on in, and let's see who complains about that. Who's making noise here? Oh, right, yes. It is because we're referencing I, and remember that was part of our for loop, so this part of the condition has no idea what that means. Which is okay. We can just wipe out that line, and we don't need to position it anyway. When you're adding objects inside of an SK node like this, I'd say more often than not, you're probably okay with the object initially showing up at 0, 0, because that means it's going to be in the center of this particular node, and you're probably going to want to do your positioning on the entire node itself. Now that's not always going to be the case, but I think more often than not it will be. So it's okay to leave that at 0, 0, and I'll just say no need to position it. It'll be added in the center of this node which is just at 0, 0. Okay. And now keep in mind that 0, 0 on the stage itself is in the bottom left corner of the device, but the local space inside of a node puts 0, 0 right in the middle of that node. And then this is all true again. Okay, so that works as well. And then this is one of those situations where it's pretty obvious that you've got some overlap in large chunks of code, and that's where you can consider taking some of this out and putting it into another function outside of this, and making your code as reusable as possible, or but that's okay. We're just playing around, so we won't worry about that too much. But what we should do is at least test to see if we can remove this property now, and if everything still works as similar to it did before. Of course, we were only going to add in one platform now. Okay, but good job, us. All right, so I was about to close up shop, but I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of a test project for yourselves, which I'll give you the answer to in just a moment. But see if you can, and by the way, I just put this to false, so that's why you're not seeing those boxes anymore. See if you can make it so that when our dude here becomes idle, all the platforms start to fall down. Okay, that'd be kind of a great hook in a game, the platforms give out if you slow down. All right, so pause the video and see if you can figure out how to do that, how to make every platform become or set its dynamic property to being true. And do a little Jeopardy clock in your head. All right, you ready for it? We're going to first call a function, which we'll write in just a moment. I'm putting this inside of the touches began statement, so it's right after when we step through our bro becoming idle or not. And then I'm going to paste this all inside of here, just at the very bottom. All right, so this is outside of any other functions that are in here right now. And here we go. Ooh, isn't that pretty? Look at all those. Func toggle platforms. All right, so this is what's getting called right here. And you've seen almost all this code before. I know you have, actually. If bro node's current state equals idle, all right, we used that just the other day. Otherwise, hey, if he's not idle, don't worry about any of this stuff. Forget it. If so, I want you to enumerate through or go through every single object that we have on the stage scene. That's left over from my Flash days. And if the platform, or if we encounter a node that is an object, okay, then we're going to cast that node as a new instance named platform, okay, which is going to temporarily represent that node. And then immediately we start going and kind of inspecting the platform. So we say platform, all right, we want to look through all your nodes, all right, because before we had self here. Now we're looking at the platform. And again, we don't care about their names. We're just going to go through every single one of them. And we're doing the same thing that we did here on this line. We're just saying, let this sprite, okay, let this new instance of sprite equal any node that is of SKSpriteNode, okay. And if so, all right, Sprite.PhysicsBody is going to, its dynamic property is going to equal true. And what happens then? So we publish this. Now remember, that code doesn't get run right away. Even though he shows up as idle, we have to tap down a couple times to be able to see it. So we just progressed out of his idle state. He's into his firing state now, and then when we tap again, everything goes away. Now, what could you do to undo that? Well, it's about just as easy. We just run an else statement here, and so here's our if. Okay, and by the way, you can always roll over here and see the opening and closing of these, right? See, isn't that nice? And they kind of give you this grayscale to indicate it as well. Anyway, let's paste in the else part of this, and it's really just doing the opposite. Okay, so otherwise, just go through here, find the object again, and then switch this back to false. And that way, you could kind of tap quickly, dun, 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 and then stop it from falling down like so. And oh, look at that, it does kind of mess with that a little bit, doesn't it? That's cool. Well, yeah, it just makes sense. They're becoming part of the physics simulation, so they're going to start to get scrambled up like so. And then, unlike this guy, I didn't set these platforms to not be able to rotate. So, oh, see you later, buddy. All right, so that was the solution to that little problem right there, and I'll leave that in here for you guys to play with. I'll upload a little zip file of the project as it is.